Welcome to Recovery Equity, a series of conversations about promising initiatives and new possibilities to reach and to help more people faced with addiction. My name is Lucretia Dotson, the Supervisor for Administrative Services at Hazleton Betty Ford Center for Families and Youth. We are speaking today with Emma, who has graciously agreed to share her story. How are you, Emma?
I'm good. How are you?
I am well, thank you. Thank you again for sharing with us. Can you briefly tell us a bit about your recovery story?
Well, I went into recovery in 19 October the 9th of 92. And so I have 28 years clean and
Congratulations.
yeah, it's amazing, Uh a person that used every day or mostly every day,
Mhm.
um trying to find ways and means to get more and trying to figure out what was wrong with me and thinking nothing was wrong with me. And because I had an apartment, I had a job, I had a car. I mean, I had everything that I wanted, except for I couldn't keep my money. That was it. Just couldn't keep my money. So I didn't identify with being an addict. And until came into recovery, I didn't believe that I was an addict. My mother and my father was a preacher. My mother was a homemaker, and they would tell me all the time, "We didn't raise you like that. You're not like that." And my father would always put the spiritual values on me, which made me feel guilt and shame. And I didn't understand at that time that guilt and shame was what kept me using. And so, once I got into recovery, I came across other challenges. I ended up getting married for the second time. I was a person that was raped as a kid um, by our uncle. And I ended up going to that uncle's funeral thinking that they would bury that, help paying for his funeral, thinking that Ed would bury that, and it didn't. But that same year that he died, it's the same year I came into recovery. So maybe it did bury it. I'm just realizing that at this particular moment. But being in recovery, I went out to California to this place out there. And what I liked about that particular place, it was in Chicago. And I flew out there. I stayed there for 28 days. And what I liked about that, after I left there, they for the next 6 years, they kept tracking me to see what I was doing. They would send me a card every year on my anniversary to see was I still clean. And I really enjoyed that. Um, I came into when I went out there. The funny part about it is that the people I was introduced to was all white, and I didn't think I had nothing in common with them. And as I went to those meetings that they took me to, I started listening and I started hearing my story being told by a white man. And I'm like, wow. And when I got back to Chicago, the people, I went to a meeting and everybody in there was all black. And I said, oh, wow, they ain't going to understand me. So the funny part about it is the only person that didn't understand me was me. And this is what I've learned in recovery. And through the years, I went back to school. I've gotten married. My daughter came back into my life. My mom died. My brother died. My sister died. My father died. It left me the only one of my siblings, and in my immediate family, I'm the only one alive. I lived longer than my mom did. I've lived longer than my sister and my brothers. My father, I haven't lived longer than him. I hope I get to his age because he died in 94. So, but recovery has been really, really great for me. I've had my struggles. I've lost my job that I worked for 23 years due to them moving to another state, another country, matter of fact. I worked my job for 23 years. 12 of them I was using, and the other 12 and a half, I was clean. So it's been truly hard sometimes, but the simple fact is that when I was using, sometimes I want to pinch myself even today because I don't believe that this is real. For the simple fact is that now that I'm here now, and I'm not in that bed in that hopeless, helpless state of mind that I was in back in on October the 7th of 92. I didn't know what to do with myself. I wanted to die. The thought of suicide was something that I was considering. I I thought about taking my car and just driving into the viaduct. And so what I decided to do was just take a bunch of pills and medications, and try to overdose and use the drug to try to overdose. But I woke up an hour and a half later and I was still here. And so at that time, I asked God to help me. But then again, I really didn't believe in God because of my relationship with my father. It wasn't that I didn't believe in God, it was that I felt that God was punishing me, and that he is not going to forgive me because I don't broke all his commandments. And but I did that prayer, and I ended up out in Los Angeles, flying on an airplane for the first time in my life, getting a brand new start, learning new things about myself. And over these 28 years, I'm still discovering things about myself. And what I'm discovering, I'm things that as we hold a conversation with others, not even really realizing that I'm doing better than what I thought I was doing.
And I'd like to just interject a question because you shared so much. And one thing that really stood out to me about your share was your relationship with the term addict. And I think it would be really beneficial for someone who still struggles with that word. Can you tell us how you came to accept the term of addict? Because you mentioned that you worked, you had a job, you seem to be really highly functioning. So what actually got you to a point where you realized you needed help?
What it was when I was making those meetings, I was always told to listen to the similarities and not the differences. And I was like, I can't help but be different because I am different. But once I realized that I was doing the same thing that they was doing, but I was hiding with mine, and they was straight out with theirs. The women's that was prostituting to get the next high, I didn't do that. That's what I told myself. But I had two boyfriends, and I would go get money from each one of them. But I also had a third boyfriend, and see, and I had to realize that, hey, I'm prostituting. And when it came to the drugs, I wasn't paying the light bill, the gas bill. I wasn't paying the bills, and I was broke the same day I would get paid. So, yeah, you must be an addict. So, after listening to that and breaking down the reasonings I finally bought into, yeah, could I be an addict? It's a possibility. And so I bought into being that I was an addict and that I could never use any man mood altering chemical. For the simple fact, if it looked good, felt good, tastes good, ooh wee, it was good to me. And that's the way I feel even today. Today, I have to be real mindful. And as times went on, I understand that I'm the thinker.
Mhm.
Yeah, my saying, I'm the thinker that thinks the thought that causes the thing.
Emma, I before you go on, because I love the first time I heard you say that, I think that that would be really powerful for someone to hear. Can you repeat that?
I'm the thinker that thinks the thought that causes the thing. That means whatever happens in my life, whatever comes up, whatever situations I'm faced with, whatever person that I'm faced with, whatever happens, how I respond to it is my choice, nobody else's. I make that happen. How I feel about it is my choice, nobody else. I'm the one that causing that feeling in me. And I have to stop giving other people power over me.
That is kind of a segue into my last question here. You've given us so much, but in your mantra, how would you expand on that? What would you tell today's recovering addict or someone who was in your shoes today? What advice would you give to them?
Don't be so hard on yourself because we are our worst critics. Give yourself a chance. Open your mind up to experience something different because what you've been doing all this time haven't worked. So do something different. Open your mind up and listen. That's it.
Thank you, Emma. I can't thank you enough. I keep saying thank you because I'm just blown away by your recovery story and your years. I think that you're such a resource, and I'm glad that you're out there thinking the thought that thinks the thing, uh, and that you continue to say that. I hope that you share that with everyone that you come across.
I do. I do. And I also share with my female, I work in the field. So I also share with the females that I work with is that they have to know who they are and whom's they are. And they are princesses. And and the thing is knowing who you are and holding that deep to your heart and not allowing nothing and nobody to take that from you. Because I may fall down, but I can always get back up.
Thank you for providing the hope to everyone listening and to everyone out there for joining us. Please let your friends and your colleagues know about these conversations and to come back to more equity conversations.